E kui mā, e koro mā, e ngā hapu, ngā whānau, ngā hoa, ngā kaimahi o te rā nei, ngā tai tamariki, koutou mā i whakarongo mai I runga I te pokemata, me wera atu, tēnā koutou katoa. I must say, very invigorating and lovely to see everybody here today, specifically our agencies, the people that I work with, Ned, Kerry, Rob, our uncles, aunties, cousins, friends, our manuhiri. Koutou ngā manuhiri, ko tai mai nei ki te tautoko I te kaupapa, tēnā koutou. So, my topic today is Waiapu Koka Huhua, the Waiapu Restoration Program, which I'm going to outline. But first of all, I'll give you a little bit of background about Waiapu Koka Huhua. So, that is a whakatauki, which means Waiapu, basically it means Waiapu, mother of many. But it also refers to, specifically to the many hapu that Waiapu supports. So around about 21 hapu are supported through the Waiapu River. When I say supported, I mean that dwell within the catchment of Waiapu, in the rohinga of Waiapu, and feed off the lands and waters of Waiapu. So it also refers to our diversity. So ngā huhua, the many different faces of who we are. So unity and diversity is the paradox, which I like to highlight. So we have the upper Waiapu here in Ruatoria, we have the lower Waiapu down around Te Kapa, Wailmatatini, Tikitikirangi, Tukia. We have the 5 tributaries, the Mata, Tapu Wairoa, Manga Ōporo, Poroporo and Maraihara. So that is the expanse and the extent of Waiapu. It's quite a large catchment. In the Gisborne district it is the largest catchment. And Pia Pohatu and I have been researching the Waiapu and its catchment for nearly 2 decades. So P just reminded me of that in a little message this morning. So as I was going through putting my presentation together, I thought, gee, I'm just rehashing a lot of the stuff that we've been doing for years, but it's really important that we always look back and look to where we've come from and how far we've come to measure ourselves and to evaluate, and also to give us impetus for where we're going and how quickly we need to get there. So Waiapu Koka Huhua is a collaborative program that's focused on the health of the Waiapu catchment. Excuse me, I've just got to put my glasses on. It's primarily focused on erosion control and treatment to stop the greater physical damage to the catchment, but it's also focused on bringing social and economic gains to us as iwi and landowners. The program is a partnership between the Ministry of Primary Industries, the Gisborne District Council and Te Runanga Nui o Ngāti Porou. So in 2014, after the deed of settlement was signed between the Crown and Te Runanga o Ngāti Porou on behalf of ngā hapu o Ngāti Porou, the Crown committed to a 100-year partnership, 100 years, not 10 years, not 50, 100, to restore the catchment under a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry, the Runanga and the GDC. And recently we've had the Department of Conservation join Waiapu Koka Huhua as a member of the governance group, on which I'm a member. Then in 2015, a joint management agreement was put in place by both Tromp Nui and the GDC for the co-management of Waiapu and its catchment. So that two groundbreaking things happened 2 years in a row. And that further cemented a commitment between the GDC and the Runanga to the improvement and well-being of Waiapu. So each partner brings different skills, different perspectives and different histories to the table. No one partner can restore the Waiapu catchment by itself. The partners, we need each other. We need our community, our hapu, our whānau, our rangatahi, our stakeholders. We need to have the engagement of industry and everyone who has an interest in this place, be it economic or otherwise. Science, research, we need it all. Okay, I'm going to give you some stats and background on the Waiapu catchment. So the Waiapu River catchment, as many of you will know, but many of you may not know, has the highest suspended sediment yield of any river in New Zealand, and one of the highest in the world. That's a very important fact, and that's what brought about this 100-year restoration program, Waiapu Koka Huhua. So the suspended sediment yield of the Waiapu River is equivalent to 35 million tonnes per year. Okay, that's every year. If erosion remains untreated in key areas, models suggest that there is potential for current erosion and sedimentation damage to double by 2050. We would experience even greater damage, our land productivity would further decline, and our social deprivation would worsen. As we all know, the catchment is of significant spiritual, cultural and economic value to us, te iwi, Ngāti Porou. And the health of the catchment extends much further than the physical elements of the landscape. It comes right down to our identity, our well-being, and our quality of life. Please, La. Let's take a quick look at the environmental effects of erosion that we talk about. So the first, of course, is the loss of soil and soil quality. Then we have low water quality, loss of ecological habitat, fewer places to swim. We're all covered in with sediment. The kids are moaning. Oh, it's not deep down at the Waiapu anymore. We can't jump off the banks. Damage to our infrastructure, our roads and our bridges, loss of productive land, increased risk of flooding. Okay, and we've also seen that in the Uawa catchment recently. And then that all leads to loss of oceanic habitat. Okay, so it all ends up out on our kāpatakai. And I'm sure many of us who are the hunter-gatherers of the whānau have witnessed that. Yes, please, La. Excuse me. So we, the people who depend on its resources, have been subjected to a series of environmental, social and economic shocks for over a century. For example, deforestation, which happened at the turn of last century. Then it led to rural depopulation and a series of extreme weather events such as Cyclone Bola. The researchers have highlighted that these episodes have had impacts on the well-being of our community, especially for Ngāti Porou living in the catchment, and have contributed to our low socio-economic profile. The impacts over 100 years of environmental degradation associated with deforestation and unsustainable land management practices have seriously damaged our natural resources for which we rely on, our water, our soil, our biodiversity, and the productivity capacity of our lands. So in the deed of settlement that I mentioned earlier, that was signed between Ngāti Porou and Te Rūnanga o Ngāti Porou and the Crown recognised and acknowledged the significance of the Waiapu River to us and the impacts of erosion in the Waiapu catchment, and acknowledged damage from deforestation and the resulting damage to our cultural, social and economic resource. So the deed provides for a high-level relationship accord signifying a new era of collaboration between Ngāti Porou and the Crown, and commits the Crown to working with us and our landowner for 100 years. Just go back there. So this is a quote that was taken from our one of our research programs, one of Pierre and I's research programs. We're looking at a picture of Barton's Gully up the Tapu Wairoa Valley, a very severe gully erosion. And this quote was by an Auntie Hine Mauria Hauiti. "The river is our taonga and our life essence. Land erosion reflects how we are becoming as a people. The river is eating away at the land, and we are losing our mana. Without this land, we are nothing." Waiapu Koka Huhua program marked the start of a new era and a new relationship towards a common goal. Waiapu is central, and the Accord acknowledges that, although the problem actually exists across the whole of Tairāwhiti. It's not just a Waiapu problem. So there is, here you see the relationship between the deed of settlement and the Waiapu Accord, which resulted from the deed of settlement and our negotiations. And I'd like to mihi to those representatives that we had negotiating that settlement, people like Ned, but specifically our Auntie Linda Smith, Dr. Linda Smith, who followed through with the engagement with our people here to make Waiapu and to make our way paramount in the settlement. So this is what we received from the Crown. And under the program, we have the Joint Governance Group, which consists of 2 members of Te Rūnanga Nui, which is the CEO and myself, the CEO of the Gisborne District Council, and a senior manager of MPI. And also the regional director for Department of Conservation has just joined us. And we've had our ups and downs. We commenced in 2014. We've had a lot of turnover in personnel, but I believe we're finally reaching a stage where we're actually seeing that it's not about the subset of the 3 or 4 parties, it's about the one vision, one mind, kotahi, aroha, I guess, one focus, Waiapu. Oh, better stop talking. Okay, thanks, La. So the vision. What is the vision of Waiapu Koka Huhua? Ko te mana, ko te hauora o te wai, ko te hauora o te whenua, ko te hauora o te tangata. Healthy lands, healthy water, healthy people, in whatever order you want, for the next 100 years. Yes, please, La. Okay, what are the program outcomes for Waiapu Koka Huhua? Well, the first one, healthy land. We want erosion to be significantly reduced through sustainable land use, so the right tree in the right place at the right time. Natural forests, biodiversity and cultural values are restored. Wāhi tapu are protected. Downstream infrastructure is protected. Communications and transport are more secure. The productive capacity of downstream land is maintained, thereby maximising the opportunity of the natural competitive advantages in our catchment. Yep. So these are the measures, these are the outcomes. And these outcomes will be underpinned by a holistic approach to planning and management, which we're still working towards. Our sustainable land management solutions need to achieve multiple and mutually supportive outcomes. And those are environmental restoration, of course, but also economic profitability, our cultural revitalisation and our social prosperity. So they all go hand in hand. At first the Crown thought that they were just going to treat erosion, but we pushed hard and we got this 100-year program, this vision and these outcomes. So for healthy rivers, decisions made in the Waiapu have the health of the awa at the forefront, and that's something that can be implemented through the joint management agreement with the Gisborne District Council. The river again is an abundant source of food and drinking water and used for a spectrum of cultural uses from recreational to spiritual. The riverine environment is a healthy environment for native, aquatic and riverine species. Sedimentation and the aggradation from hill country is reduced. And the healthy people outcome, the relationship between Ngāti Porou and our land and river is strengthened. Local knowledge and aspirations lead to decision making, not just agency decision making, but local. And our aspirations, not theirs, ours. And that we're generating high value jobs, products and services within our rohe to grow our own well-being and local employment. I'm going to take a bit of time on this one because Tina Porou, I don't know if she's calling in or not, so I'm cutting into her time. Okay, so at the commencement of Waiapu Koka Huhua, 42,000 hectares had been treated across the district through the East Coast Forestry Project, and that was over about 15, 16 years. However, 60,000 hectares of land eligible for treatment still existed across the whole district, the whole Tairāwhiti district, and out of that 60,000, 25,000 hectares of that eligible land is in the Waiapu catchment. So to date, work has been going on behind the scenes, and I see some landowners here who have signed agreements for treatment on their blocks, and that's really good to see and encouraging, but priority blocks have been targeted, and those priority blocks are basically what we call category A, B and C, and basically they have gullies that generate high rates of erosion and sedimentation. That's what makes them a priority. But I think I can safely say that work plans, grants and or treatment of a majority of the priority blocks has already begun. Can I say that, Kerry? Yeah. Ned? Rob? Kia ora. So, yeah, next one please, La. So, I just thought I'd give you a bit of a visual picture of the 22 of the 26 most high category eroding blocks. So 22 of the 26 throughout Tairāwhiti are in the Waiapu catchment. Okay? And again, these were identified by the size and scale of erosion features on the properties. So if I can just point out the top picture there, that's Barton's Gully. The two pictures below the top picture on the left, Tauwharepārai area. And then when we swing to the right, we've got Puketiti. Okay, so that's just an example of some of the most horrendous gully erosion slips in our rohe. So what? Well, as a landowner of a priority site, you can have a relationship manager, who's our iwi coordinator, to go to as your main point of contact to work with, and that's Ned Ihaka sitting here. You can have support from the project team in works planning, mapping, information, research and other contacts. That's Kerry and Rob and others from MPI who aren't here today. And you will have certainty of funding to enable long-term land use decisions. And for many of us, they will be land use change decisions. Thanks, La. So our program timeframes, we're not going to go too much into this, but we're currently in phase 3. And by the end of this phase, all landowners with Land Overlay 3A classified land should have a works plan in place in anticipation of effective tree cover or commencement of tree cover by 2021. And we would have commenced and got it actually nearly finished our integrated catchment management models and tools and plans. I think, well, this next one, please, La. So, I mean, this again highlights who has what role. So, MPI has the role of the East Coast Funding Program until 2020 with maintenance funding. And maintenance funding means costs for forest thinning and stock exclusion until 2028. Funding also associated with the ECFP and program management costs. And within the ECFP is the Community Fund, and I'll give you an outline of some of those projects later. The GDC carries costs associated with the Sustainable Hill Country project and with environmental monitoring. And Tromp Nui assists with the costs of NED, working with our Māori landowners in the planning and management, but also it's got here in accessing finance. But what we actually did was we were able to change our policy through a series of very rigorous hui and enable our Māori landowners, or any landowner in the district, to receive, upon signing of a grant and a works plan in place, 50% of the total cost, of the total grant. So 50% up front. About a year later, you get another 30%, and after your works have shown to be fruitful, i.e. your trees are in the ground, your pests are managed, your fence are up and running, you get the remainder 20%. Okay, let's look at some of the community-funded projects, and I'll start with the Kānuka harvesting optimisation. So these projects that I'm about to outline are funded by the East Coast Funding Program under a category called Community Fund. And that Community Fund is still open, and you can contact MPI if you wish to explore. You have a great idea about how you can contribute in a community sense to Waiapu, Koka, Huhua. So Higurangi Enterprises is the applicant for the Kānuka harvesting optimisation. The purpose is to identify optimal growing and sustainable harvesting techniques for bioactive extracts from existing mature Kānuka stands. By creating commercial opportunities for Kānuka, people will become more likely to retain the existing Kānuka on their lands rather than removing it for other land uses. Yes, please, La. There's also a LiDAR survey which was funded, and that's the applicant is the Gisborne District Council, and the LiDAR survey will provide a high-resolution digital Earth surface over all of the East Coast Tairāwhiti that can facilitate robust decision-making in land use planning, erosion mitigation, natural hazards, archaeological assessment of historic sites, wāhi tapu and our cultural sites, infrastructural development and adaptation to climate change. Okay, we've got a couple of more here which I'll cover off. There's the stage 1 of the Mata Tapu Wairoa confluence to Waiapu River mouth. The applicant is the Gisborne District Council. The project aims at reducing riverbank erosion at strategic sites where tree planting can provide stability. Our next one is the East Coast Nursery for Waiapu Koka Huhua. The applicant is Te Runanga Nui o Ngāti Porou. I've been trying to push that along. I'm the contact person. And the purpose is to establish a sustainable East Coast nursery to provide eco-source plants for erosion treatment, for productivity, for social enterprise, for training and capacity building, for research, for restoration of our wetlands, our steep hill country, our coastal environs, and for replenishing our cultural resources. And that application is to fund a business case to determine the best model to deliver that nursery. And the last slide here that I have is what other activity are we managing or is happening and is associated with Waiapu Koka Huhua is of course the ecological land management training, of which I sat on a panel for one of the positions for this new course, which will be based in Ruatoria and will start in 2019. It will focus on land-based conservation work and core land management skills. It's a 6-monthly program. It runs 2 times per year for 10 people, with an additional 6 months of pastoral care for the students once they've completed the program. And I think I can say that we will be advertising for we held interviews for the pastoral care position yesterday, and we will be advertising for the tutor shortly. Another project which is in formation by a group called Whakaora Te Mano o Te Waiapu has been, the group has been formed to carry out riparian work in the lower Waiapu catchment for erosion treatment. And that brings my, hopefully not too boring for you, kōrero, to an end. Ngā mihi kia koutou, ngā kaimahi, ngā ringa wera mō te hui nei. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa.